right, Jeff Zimmerman here. You know who I'm with. Tim Bradley Jr., Desert Storm. Man, you can find him at the greatest YouTube channel out there I got it this time, Tim, at Timothy Desert Storm Bradley Jr., Hall of Famer, legend, the most outspoken man in boxing. What's up, Tim?
Hey, what's good, man? I love that intro, baby. I appreciate the support. You already know, man. Thank you. I really do appreciate you. What's good with you? What's the topics today, big dog?
Man, yeah, there's not a whole lot going on in boxing, but I think we'll find a couple here and there.
Okay.
But
All right.
listen, man, I was at the fight weekend this past week. Vergil Ortiz Jr., Erickson Lubin. We talked a lot about it before. Man, everyone I talked to around the fight was like, it's going to be a good fight. I think everyone was expecting a good fight, but Vergil should win. Boy, did he win in impressive fashion. You broke down the fight. You had a lot to say, stay off the ropes and all that, but tell me what you saw and what you thought.
Man, first of all, Lubin got straight up cooked. Like cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like again, Kentucky Fried Chicken style, right? Extra crispy. I mean, look. Like it's one thing to talk it, it's another thing to show up and actually do it. Everybody got a plan, like Tyson says, until they get hit in the mouth, right? And what I saw in the first round, I saw a guy that looked like he was a little bit in control. He was trying to establish the game plan, using his jab. Every now and then he'll get along the ropes. He'll block a couple. He'll step in and tie up. I'm like, okay, all right, that was a decent first round. Could have went either way the first round. And then all of a sudden, second round comes and I'm like, what the heck? What is going on? He bagged straight up to the damn ropes. Literally bagged up to the ropes. Now, let's give Ortiz credit because when I went back and I watched it, and then I went back and I watched Lubin in his previous fights, and this was something that I missed. And this is like smart of Ortiz in his camp. I mean, you got to give it up for them, man. They the reason why he was able to execute as well as he did was just because of film study. I don't care what they say. I don't care. I don't care if they. I don't watch film. No, you watch some damn film because what he did was, if you notice, Lubin likes to move to his left a lot. Being a southpaw, you want to move majority to your right. Okay, you want to be able to get around that lead hand and get around to that weak side where you can, land combinations and be out of the way at the same damn time. Well, Lubin has a damn bad habit, one of being on the ropes, but also moving to his left.
Hmm.
And it was interesting to see Ortiz kind of move to his right and cut him off, and then forced him back left, and then he was able to set up that left hook, and he was walking him towards that rope. So like Lubin was trying to establish his jab. Ortiz kept his hands real high, like I told you guys, like to keep his hands real high. If you support the channel, I explain all of this stuff, and he was jabbing with Lubin. He was jabbing with him. He was catching him down to the body. He was finding the little space in between the southpaw, and he was jabbing up right between the guards. I mean, Lubin at that time was saying to himself, I think, this dude is a lot smarter than I thought he was. He hits a lot damn harder than I thought he did. And you know what? I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna go back to the ropes. I'm gonna see if I can counter him or somehow or punch him between one of his shots, and I'm gonna take my chances there. That was one of the biggest issues that I had with Lubin in this fight is that he always tends to find times or at least attempt to find times to rest. It's the second round, buddy. It's the second round. You know, Laid on those ropes, and it was all she wrote after that, man. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the fight. I just had grabbed some sushi, and I'm like, he goes to the ropes, and I'm saying to myself, this fight's about to be over, and it's about to be over real quick. He's getting hit with body shots. You see Ortiz. He uses that little pill down. So hands up, the guard. He used the pill down, peeled his guard down, and came with a mean right hook right on the temple, by the eye and the temple. And then you saw Lubin legs. It was over. I mean, as soon as he got hit with that shot, it was like he got hit with a nuclear bomb, and his world turned upside down. And then just to follow combinations, Thank God referee stepped in. I'm seeing some people say that the fight was stopped too soon. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The dude was a dead man. He was a corpse, literally on the ropes. Not even defending himself at all. You know what I mean? Knocked the hell out. You know, so hell of a fight. I would say hell of a fight. Didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna be about 6, 7 rounds. Later back into the fight, I thought that Lubin would slow down a bit, and then Ortiz would be able to find his mark. But shit, great execution, great game planning by cutting off that right side, forcing him back left, and then catching him with that left hook. Cornering him, getting him on the ropes, and setting him up, pulling that guard down, and coming right over with that right hook, and finding that kill shot, man, to finish and seal the deal.
I'm glad you brought up the referee in the stoppage because from my vantage point, in the media section, I'm watching the big screen mostly. It looked like he was out on his feet.
He was out.
He was out, right? And
He was
so
out.
I asked Vergil if he knew that, and he said no, but he heard from the crowd that the fight, was pretty much done. The ref came in, right? But
Yeah.
I asked Robert Garcia, and he said absolutely he was out on his feet. And I said, I think the ref did a hell of a job to recognize that and jump in. And he agreed. And Robert, being the guy he is, went and got a stool as fast as he could for him. So I didn't know what the people were saying online that they thought it was too soon, but he was out.
Well, I think the people online might have had a little hamburger bet on the upset. In these fights because it's boxing, right? I had a lady ask me over the weekend. She says, "Why do you love boxing so much?" And I go, "Look, one thing is mano y mano. It's ego versus ego. It's will versus will." I said, "But the best part about boxing is it's not like any other sport." I said, if you're playing football, and it's 27-10, and there's a minute left on the clock, it's over. I said in boxing, I said, as long as you got seconds on the clock, I said, it's 12 rounds. I said, you got a chance. You got a chance. You one punch away from always stopping your opposition. Now, I know some people might say, well, Tim, it's he has no power. Look, it's the punches that you don't see are the ones that hurt you, man. They hurt you the most. And you don't need a whole lot of punching power to hurt another man, you know. So I don't know the exact pressure, but I just tell you, you can knock out somebody, you know what I mean, when you least expect it. Like a lot of people saying that, Devin Haney won't be able to knock out or hurt or even drop Norman Jr. I beg to defer. You know what I mean? Like if Norman Jr. running in there and he get hit with the right hand or left hook or something he don't see, you know what I mean? He can be rocked too. Yeah. Norman can be rocked too. So like, I'm not a firm believer in he ain't got power, so you should be able to walk through him. Remember when what's the kid name? Munguia fought a dude with 4 knockouts and got served.
Right. In
Four knockouts,
Mexico. Yeah.
literally in Mexico, and got served, like
Yeah.
destroyed. Right. So like, look, you got to respect everybody you get in the ring with, man. And so I would advise Norman Jr. This fight coming up real soon. I would advise him, hey, yeah, feel that power first before you go in there and think that this man ain't got no damn punching power. Devin Haney, hey, he got really good timing. So, anyways, got off on a tangent. My
No,
bad.
no, no. I
I'm
was
just
gonna
trying
ask.
to, I'm just trying to relate.
Yeah, yeah. I talked to Devin last week, and I mentioned to him that why, Norman, dangerous guy. It feels like it does more for Norman's career, and Devin's been already at the mountaintop, but his attitude is he's got a title. He thinks he's the best at 147. So all the credit in the world to him taking on that challenge.
Yeah. Look. I think that at the age of both of these young men, the willingness for them to want to compete and put their O on the line, man. I mean, that speaks volumes to the type of mentalities that both of these fighters have, and I think that's the nature and which we want the sport and we want fighters to behave. You know what I mean? Like throwback fighters. Um, when I look at, I'm going off another tangent, but when I look at like Vergil Ortiz, the performance he put on. Then I look at Boots and the performance he put on. Like right away, you're saying, or you're like, fans are saying to themselves, like, "Hey, why don't those guys fight?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and I want them to fight. I do. I want them to fight. And y'all already know who my pick is. Like a lot of guys are like from the show me state, like show me that you can win, Boots. But me, I'm telling y'all right now, man. Anybody that wanna listen, you can listen. If you don't want to damn listen, then damn it, you're gonna learn the hard way. I'm telling y'all, Boots is going to beat Ortiz, and he's going to beat him. It's gonna be bad. I'm just letting y'all know. Some of y'all see that victory he put on, and Ortiz, and he looked spectacular, and he did it against a quality opponent. However, Boots is a different type of animal, man. This guy can be on his front foot. He can be on his back foot. This guy got punching power, hand speed. He got a ton of skill, counter punching ability. I mean, Boots has all the tools in the world to give a guy like Ortiz, who is talented. Don't get me wrong. Ortiz is talented, man. He goes about his way inside that ring, and you can see how calculated and precise he is when he's inside that ring, man. That right there was a killer this past weekend. He was a killer. You know what I'm saying? And it was he terminated his his object, or he had terminated his freaking ops with like that 2 rounds. I don't think anybody in their mind thought it was gonna go 2 rounds. If you did, Stradamus or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Tell me the damn lotto numbers. But I didn't think it was
Right.
gonna be 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was gonna be that long, but or that short period of a time. So
Yeah, and nobody did. Robert Garcia, I asked him that. Obviously he thought his guy was going to win, was going to stop him, but 7, 8, 9. Uh, I mean, so let me ask you then. Yeah, Boots. You're picking Boots. They
all
got in
day,
the
7 days a week.
all day, 7 days a week.
All day, 7 days a week. He gonna. I'll tell you, he might even stop Vergil. He might even stop Vergil. I'm telling you. Like this is the thing, man. Like Boots, when I say he can go forward and he can go backwards, once Boots once he figures out Vergil, and he realizes that, damn, I can come forward too, it's gonna be a wrap. I mean, I know Vergil can box a little bit. I've seen him, off his back foot and try to be slick and and pop shot from the outside, but that's not his strong suit, man. That's not his strong suit. So not only can Boots box him off the back foot, set traps for him, laterally, but he'll also be able to come forward, and he has enough punching power, enough hand speed, enough IQ to be able to position and get himself in real good position against Vergil, man, and take advantage of some of Vergil's flaws. Vergil, to me, this is what I see. Vergil to me is very predictable. He's right in front of you. You know what I mean? I would say he's a bit hard to hit only because he keeps a tight high guard. He moves his head off to the side, nice little pre-slips off to the side. He's constantly trying to change his head positioning, but that's it. That there's nothing more than that. You know what I mean? And once Boots figures that high guard coming forward, similar to the way Crawford was able to figure out Canelo Alvarez, similar that way, similar to the way you got a guy like Shakur Stevenson was able to figure out Valdez. As soon as they figure that out, it's gonna be a wrap. Promise you, a wrap. So hey, look, and I always say this: iron sharpens iron. We ain't seen Boots in there with a killer yet. I promise you, when he get in there with a killer, you gonna see the complete package of Boots, man. The complete package of Boots.
So Tim, you don't think Ortiz's power could be the X factor? Because it just seemed like he told me before the fight, or he said going into the fight, it was the best he's ever felt going into a fight, mentally, physically. He couldn't really describe it. He's an intellectual kind of guy.
He's very intellectual.
Yeah, and he said it was the best he ever felt. And I mean, we saw the power, firsthand the other night. But you think Boots can take those kind of shots, or he's just going to be able to get away from those shots?
No, Boots can't be taking those type of shots.
Yeah,
Those type of shots that Boots got get hit with all these other little jabronis. He can't do. He can't do that with Ortiz. And I don't think, and I think he's smart enough to know that, and I think his team is smart enough to know that. But see, like one thing about certain fighters that have, one, that competitiveness, two, was raised up in the gym, having that Philly nature. He likes to fight, he likes to rumble. Not only can he box, he has a very high boxing IQ as well. But what happens to us type of fighters now I want to say I don't want to class myself. I'm a Hall of Famer, but I'm not going to class myself and say I had more skills than Boots Ennis. Boots got a ton of skill. You know what I mean? I was special in the area of determination. I had quick feet. I had my little attributes to go along with me. But what happens is it heightens. You know what I'm saying? Fight or flight. It heightens. So like you take his skill set and he's getting there with Ortiz, who has a really high boxing IQ as well. Who has the punching power and the speed. Now you're ultra focused. You know what I mean? You have ultra combination, like what's the word I'm looking for? Ultra concentration.
tunnel
Because
vision, or yeah.
it's just everything. It's almost like everything slows down a bit, man, because you're so ultra focused. You know what I mean? Because you fear what's coming at you. You know what I mean? In a sense, not to where you shut down, but just to where it's like you're aware. You know what I mean? Your hands are up. Your reactions are quicker. Your response is quicker. It's just like, right, if you see your baby, right, crawling on the bed, and you see the baby get close to that edge, and you reach out there. I mean, your reaction time is so damn fast, and you reach out there and you grab the baby before the baby falls off. It's like that for a fighter, especially a fighter with the skill set and the mentality of a fighter like Boots Ennis. So the dude is a competitor, man. He's a competitor. I personally think that his management was probably holding him back. However, look, this form of Boots that I saw got up in the ring, man. I thought he looked like Ricky Ross for a minute. He had the big beard. He had the Lokes on, the old school Lokes on. And, he had the chain and stuff. And I'm like, hey, this is a new type of boots right here. I ain't never seen. Shoot, what type of boots is these? You know what I'm saying? Because he was looking fresh. He was looking clean. He was looking sure of himself. And just like he said after his fight against Lima, I want Ortiz. That's who I want. However, I don't think Ortiz really want that right now. I don't think his people want it. I don't think Oscar want it. I don't think Robert Garcia wants it. Now, I could be wrong. I can be wrong, but I'm just telling you right now, why you want to get this guy knocked off? Trust me, they see what I see. Trust me, these people have been in the business a long time.
Mhm.
They see what I see. They know it's a gamble. If Ortiz is gonna get in the ring with Boots, and it's a damn gamble, and they're not willing to gamble right now, man. Ortiz is in a really good position to really make some good money fighting against guys that have been relevant in the sport before, have been off a little while, like Spence of the world. You saw Spence there. Also, Charlo too, former undisputed there. You know what I mean? Like he got some dance partners. I would advise Boots Ennis, fight a top guy, man. Fight a top guy out there. Get Madrimov into the ring. I really don't think the fight's gonna happen, man. I really don't. And look, me being a fan, yeah, the fanboy in me, absolutely. I want the fight to happen now, but I just know this business, man. And I understand that it's a process. When Boots, or when Vergil wanted Boots, it was a certain timing. He wanted to get him as he moved up to 54, not let him adjust. And right now Vergil's saying, you know what? I'm gonna let you work a little bit more. Why not? You need to do a little bit more at 54 before I go ahead and face you, because I know that it's risky. I think I can win. However, it's a 50-50 fight in his eyes. And he's like, I'm not willing to risk it all right just now. So, hey, I respect the game, man. I respect the game. I think both fighters had opportunities and they let it go. So it just ain't gonna be no different. I know the fans are upset about it, and I know the fans going, oh, we need it now. We need it now. You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it. And they saying, well, we don't want another, Mayweather, Pacquiao, and it's not going to be like that. These guys are young. It's not going to be like that, right? Just maybe another 6 months, 7 months, maybe another year or so. I think both these guys definitely gonna get in the ring, and it's gonna be worth a lot more money. And also, they're gonna have belts on the line as well. Hopefully, they can get some opportunities to fight for some world titles, man. Shoot, and then have a crash course right there.
Tim, I feel like you're at the post-fight press conference with that said, but Oscar has already put the stake in the ground that Vergil's the A side, and the money, he told Lance Pugmire and me that the money has to be right. So he's already kind of, putting in that, sounds like that loophole, to your point, the business side of things. Vergil will fight anybody any day, as a fighter, and you know that.
Yep.
But and Vergil actually said, I don't know if you heard this, his dream fight is Spence at Cowboy Stadium. They grew up in the same gym. They're both DFW guys, as you know, Texans. That would be his dream fight, if it was up to him. But yeah, you may be right though.
It is. I mean, it can be up to him. It can be up to him. And like I told you, it's one of those things where you got to weigh your options, right? You weigh your options. It's like, okay, I understand what the fans want, but we'll get there. I want the fight. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the fight now. I told you already. It don't matter.
Is that the best one at 154 right now? Those two guys?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Because they're around the same height, around the same height. Vergil is a smart fighter, comes forward, put the pressure. I think stylistically, yes. I think they're the best fight. I think Fedora just it has these just freakish type of attributes, man, that go along with him. He's a difficult fight, I think, for both,
Yeah.
both guys. But I still think that, still think that Ortiz can get it done. I still think that Boost can get it done, man, and beat a guy like Fedora. There's a lot of holes in this game, So being that tall, being that having that length, but still, it won't be no easy task for either guy, But I still think that they can get it done. And then you got Xander Zayas, that I think it's almost like a dark horse in the division. Not a lot of people's really giving him any respect, but I think that he's very technical and very tactical, and I think he'll give those guys a little run for their money too. So the division is great, man. I think it's a great division. But putting that business hat on, putting that promoter hat on, I see the play, man. I see the play. It ain't play time right now. I don't think for Ortiz. So we'll see what Boost does. If he can't get Ortiz in the ring, we'll see what he does, man. Go get a belt. I think both these guys right now. I think they might be interim champions right now. Both
Yeah,
of
they're
them.
both interim champions.
Yeah, interim champions. So fight the champion. Fight
Yeah,
the
and you
champion.
mentioned there was a lot of buzz in the building. You mentioned Spence and Charlo, and obviously Boots was there for a reason. What do you think about a possible, Spence coming back? I asked him, he doesn't really give you much, kind of didn't non-committal, but what do you think about Vergil or Boots against Spence or Charlo?
Ah, shit, I wouldn't mind them both splitting them, and then they fight. I wouldn't mind that, but again, there's no belt at stake. This is just be bragging rights. Hey, I be the legend, you be the legend. Be bragging rights. For both guys, and but I think it'll be interesting. For the 154-pound division, but I think everybody already knows what's going to happen in those fights. Those are money grabs, good money grabs, great name on your resume. Spence been out of the ring too long, man. He's been out of the ring too long. Now, Charlo, I think he's had a couple of comeback fights, but, still inactive. But, it's not – I don't think it's the fight that everybody want to see because everybody already know what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. If Vergil fights against Spence, he going to stop. He going to stop Spence. Ain't no shade on Spence. I just don't think that Spence is what he used to be, and it's – and what I'm saying is just stems from everything that I've did from the past, his past, and what he went through with Crawford. But yeah, and then I think that Boots beats Charlo.
Hmm.
I think he beats Charlo pretty easily, in my opinion. He outboxes him, might even stop him. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I got, I know one thing. I know one thing. Even if they were to swap, I know that Spence, when you're fighting against a guy like Spence, you gotta have a guy that's resolute. That's who Ortiz is, resolute, strong mentally. You know what I'm saying? That can hold his position, that is strong physically, and that can let his hands go as well. That's gonna give, I think, Spence issues. That's definitely gonna give him issues. Then you got on the flip side, I think that Charlo, he struggles with, that aggressive, not too aggressive, but smart pressure. He struggles with smart pressure. Canelo put that smart pressure on him. You saw what he did. You know, and I think, like I told you, Boots can come forward. Boots knows how to attack. He knows how to come forward. He knows how to be aggressive. He lets those combinations fly. And I think he'll be too much, too young, too fast, too strong for a guy like Charlo right now in this career, in his, I would say, a twilight of his career. But Spence is gonna be looking for big money.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna be looking for, and Charlo gonna be looking for big money too. That's the only way these guys are gonna come back. It got to be big. They can't be no 2-3 million. They got to be 10. They got to be big money, and I think that's what's gonna entice those guys to come back. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw earlier today that potential fight between Plant and Jamal Charlo and Berlanga versus Resendez, who's kind of the upset special guy. Like don't sleep on that kid. But the winner of Plant Jamal would fight Berlanga if he wins, essentially. But what do you think of Plant Jamal fight, which has been kind of brewing for it seems like forever?
Plant and Jamal fight. I think at this point in their careers right now, I think it's warranted. I really do. I think they need each other.
Hmm.
Plant was looking good. He was looking like a top 168 pounder now for some time, and then he had that setback with the man you just mentioned,
Resendez, yeah.
Resendez, and then on the flip side of that, again, the Charlos, man, I hear their names, but they just haven't been in the ring enough for me. I kind of forget about them. Then you have him, aggressive style, can box a little bit, good punching power, of course. Shit. Right off the top, you got the boxer. Hmm. I got a favorite off the top, off the rip. I got a favorite, the boxer puncher. Usually the boxer, I mean, usually boxing tells us that the pure boxer would win the fight. And I think that Plant could win the fight, but I just think when he get clipped, that's it's the same thing with a guy like Devin. Until he get clipped, they can win. He can win the fight until he get touched, and then how he gonna react? So I would say that Plant can be winning the fight, boxing, looking sweet, beautiful, and then bink, get clipped, and it be all she wrote. I don't think that Plant has the punch resistance anymore on that chin. That's just my opinion. He can prove me wrong. But when you got a guy like Resendez, catching you with shots, and your legs are not looking stable, that tells me something ain't right. So and Charlo, that's the last thing to leave. That punching power is something serious. So, and he has it violently in that right hand.
Yeah, and I guess they were set up last time until Resendez, to your point, beat Plant and kind of killed that fight right there. But it looks
Yeah,
like they're revisiting if what I saw is true. But
be
I'll get
fun.
you out. I'll get you out of here in a minute,
No,
Tim.
no problem,
Appreciate.
man.
Um, Going back to Haney real quick. It feels like it's a different Haney than I remember. His dad hasn't been around as much.
Thank God.
The maturity, like the maturity with him, it seems like he's really grown. And one of my questions to him, like everybody else, is, Brian Norman got the big left hook. That was kind of the downfall against Ryan. And so do you practice extra for it? Do you don't want to overdo it over, you want to keep a balance when you're in training. But no, he said, very mature, I learned from every fight, I learned from that and like he's prepared going into this fight. But one hit, we know, you can change everything. So the fight's almost there. It's the next big fight on the calendar. What are your thoughts at this point? I think you had Norman going into the.
Well, I still got Norman. I still got Norman, but I can tell. I look just from what you said, right, about Haney and what he's talking about. Like I can relate, to him getting better and in a sense because you learn from your mistakes. I mean, any smart fighter, that really cares about their career. And Haney's young, man. You know, he's young, and so he's gonna learn from his experience. From the past, especially from the Ryan fight. But I'll say this: like everybody's talking about the left hook of Norman Jr. I think they got to worry about more than just the left hook.
He's got
I
two
think
hands, right? Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna tell you. I think they got to worry about more than just a left hook. The dude got an uppercut. The dude got a right hand. And if you know anything about Norman, if you followed his career and have seen the progression of his work and his skill, Norman is throwing a straighter right hand now than he ever has.
Mhm.
His right hand is definitely straight, and he'll loop it sometimes, and he'll throw that thing straight down the middle, and with full force. So Norman isn't just Norman's not the same fighter he was years ago either. He's a completely different fighter. He has a different swag about him inside the ring, a certain amount of confidence inside the ring, and so you know. Yeah, Haney's gotten better, but so has Norman Jr. And he gonna have to worry about more than just a damn left hook. Trust me. Trust me. When you know something's coming, look, you got a plan A, but you know what? We got a plan B too. We're gonna hit him with that right hand. We might even knock him out with the right hand. That's what they saying. So as far as the fight goes, I'm still picking Norman Jr. Like I told you. I got Norman Jr. I think I just like how I like his mentality. I like how nasty he is. From a sense of just he has this old school swagger about him, man. That's just so appealing. I think like when I watched him they were trying to get him to like rate Devin Haney's fashion, and he's just like, man, this is what's wrong with boxing. We over here talking about fashion, like, then I'm trying to kill this man, bro. I'm not literally kill him, but you
Right.
know what I'm saying? I'm trying to destroy this man. You know what I'm saying? And we over here talking about, bro, like, you don't even know. Like, I'll cheese from here to here because I'm saying, man, he's so right. He's so right. But the way he says it, his delivery. So, man, Norman, just keep doing you, B, for real, man. Like, you are definitely, you a true fans fighter. And I really do want him to win, man. I'm not gonna lie, I want him to win. Ain't no knock on Haney and his fans or whatever. Ain't no knock on that. I just think that Norman is naturally an underdog, man. I don't care what the odds say. I'm just saying naturally he's the underdog, man, and he's an overachiever. And I think that I think he gonna come through, man. I think he gonna come through, man. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Haney can go in there and maybe box his ears off, but I'm telling you, Norman ain't coming to play. He's not coming to play. So as long as you don't get power thirsty, Norman, no, don't get power thirsty. I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret, man. I'm gonna give y'all some. Let me give you a little game. When guys are loading up, Canelo likes to load up, which you can predict that shit coming. You can see it coming. You know what I mean? And you don't want somebody like Devin Haney, who has good eyes, tremendous boxer, to be able to see your shots coming. You got to be able to change them speeds up on them shots. Hey, I'm giving game to everybody. Everybody. This ain't just for Norman. This is for everybody, man. You know, guys that load up, you see that it's coming. It's ticking. It's so much resistance that you leaving yourself one exposed. Two, it's taking you long to pull the trigger because you're loading up on your shots. And a smart fighter will see that coming, and he can anticipate it. Ooh, nope, you ain't getting that. Ooh, nope. Bing, bing. Nope, you're not getting that. So I will tell you this: don't be loading up, bro. Let them hands fly, but let them fly naturally, man. And the power is in those hands already. So he do that. I think he gonna come out with a victory, man.
You know, you mentioned swag in the ring, and I know you noticed it, but there's a lot of young people out there. He was wearing that war hat, which reminiscent of Hagler versus Hearns. When you talk about a throwback mentality, I mean, nothing signified it more than that red war hat. What did you think of that when you saw it?
Now I've seen that hat around. I've seen that hat around, but I've seen people that they wear that hat, but they not really like that. I've seen a lot of guys that wear it, but they ain't really like that. I think Norman is like that. I
Yeah.
think Norman is like that, man. Um, he about war, you know. He about destruction. Yeah, you know, like his last three performances have been devastating. You know, I understand styles make fights, but his last three performances, he's made a statement, man. You know, and I feel like he gonna make a statement in this fight right here. I think that again, I told you, could be false calculation from the
Yeah.
Haney's. You know, they looking, they seeing one thing, but they might see something completely different inside that damn ring. You know, similar to what Lubin had in his mind, thinking that, oh, this dude is stupid. I'm gonna be able to pick him to pieces. Hell nah. Not at the highest level. At the highest level, man, you gotta have some sort of IQ, man. And Ortiz got a pretty damn good IQ, man. And you know, it showed. And he basically power boxed the skillful boxer.
I put that in my story for Fight News that he powered his way forward in that second round. The first round, like you said, he landed a couple shots. Lubin was on the jab, but he just almost bullied his way forward and forced him to the ropes. But
Uh, You know what it felt when I was watching? It felt like I was watching like you know those movies where you seeing a couple of bullies surrounded surrounding a kid, and they picking on him, pushing his head back, you know what I mean, and pick him up, throw him in the trash can or steal his
yeah,
lunch money and stuff. I felt like when when Lubin got up against the ropes, that's what he was doing. He was just like, just leave me alone, tucked up in that high guard, man,
yeah,
straight back against the ropes. And I'm saying to myself, bro, like, get yourself in a good position, bro. Like, what are we doing? What, you coughing up this? Like, what, you giving up already? Come on, man. And so like I'm seeing a lot of people say, "Oh, this is framed, this was set up, this and that." Man, I look. I don't think it was that. I just think that Ortiz, that the fear Ortiz put the fear of God in him. Yeah, the fear of God in him. Yes, he was like, I'm out. I see y'all later. Hey, I'm gone. I see y'all later. Soon as he got clipped, Bing, he went to sleep. Soon as he got clipped, Bing, he was out on his feet. So do you get clipped? Bam, you trying to fight back? You like, ooh, it's part mental. It's part genetics, but at the same time, like shit, it's that want. You got to tell yourself, I ain't going no damn where. I ain't going nowhere, you know. And he didn't have that. He didn't have that mentality in the ring, man. So look, I ain't taking nothing away from. I'm not gonna take nothing away from him. He trained his butt off. He was saying all the right things. He looked sharp in camp. But Ortiz is just a damn good ass fighter, man. And that's just what it is. He's the better fighter, and that's it.
yeah. He punched through that high guard and just those hooks and those and just yeah. He was
Yeah,
out.
it,
He
it
was
was
out.
accurate. See, a lot of people don't realize how accurate Ortiz is. Ortiz let them hands go when he feels that he's on land.
Yeah.
He's accurate, bro. He's an accurate fighter. I would love to see his plus minus, man. He's an accurate fighter, bro, for real.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Lubin got cooked. Um, we'll see what the future holds, man, for Boots and also Ortiz. But in the meantime, man, those are the two hottest names. Those are the two hottest names without a belt. Without a belt in the 154-pound class, man.
Yeah.
So